With Jim Allenby striking a career-best 100 and Michael Hogan amongst the wickets again, Glamorgan took complete control of their latest LV County Championship match against Leicestershire on the second day at Grace Road. Glamorgan had shaded the first day, in which they'd made 256 for 5, with 50s for Marcus North and Murray Goodwin, and Allenby, who began the day undefeated on 39, was soon heading towards his own half-century early on the second morning. Against his former county, Allenby struck Nathan Buck for 3 fours in 4 balls in the bowler's first full over of the session, and that brought the batsman his 50 from his 83rd delivery. He was in with his captain Mark Wallace, who was looking for his 3rd ton in 3 innings in all competitions. Instead, he'd added only 4 runs to his overnight 12 when he edged Ollie Freckingham behind. While Wallace was annoyed with his dismissal, that was to take nothing away from Freckingham, who again impressed in what is his debut season. Allenby played at Grace Road for 4 seasons before moving to South Wales back in 2009, and he was clearly enjoying his return again to the East Midlands. He's made a very good start to the season with both bat and ball, and at times here he made batting look rather easy, especially after Freckingham was given a rest. Allenby's runs started to come at a good rate thereafter, with some shots showing his confidence and class. With Graham Wagg also in now, Glamorgan were able to bring up the 350 just before the end of the bonus point scoring overs. That gave the Welshmen a 4th batting point, and they were now looking for a bigger total, one to make Josh Cobb wonder about the wisdom of putting the visitors in on the previous morning. Glamorgan would have done the same, so they would now have been pleased to have lost the toss as Wagg completed his second 50 in his last 2 innings. He was there before lunch in a session which had put his side well ahead. Wagg had needed 83 balls to reach his mark and had struck 7 fours. Glamorgan had struggled to find a centurion though until Wallace hit a ton in the defeat to Essex last week. Think London buses, as Allenby now reached the 800 of his career just before heading to the break. There was a little confusion in the running, but no harm done, as the Australian-born all-rounder reached 3 figures off 160 deliveries, 9 of which he'd hit for 4 and 1 for a maximum. It was excellent stuff from the 30-year-old. His partnership with Wagg added 117 runs in 31 overs, the last 6 of them coming off the bat of Wagg, who straight drove Jigger Nake over the ropes. But next ball, Nake exacted his revenge as Wagg, by now with 58 runs to his name, tried something similar to the bowler's different angle and edged to Greg Smith. Wagg left with his side well placed on 395 for 7, and another boundary from Allenby soon had the 400 posted. That score had moved on to 421 when Nate trapped John Glover in front for 8. Buck then bowled Hogan for his 3rd wicket on his return from injury, and at that point Wallace declared, leaving Allenby unbeaten on 138, his best championship score, and one which equalled his career best, which was made for Leicestershire against Bangladesh A at this very ground 5 years ago. The declaration gave Leicestershire around 50 minutes until tea, 50 minutes in which they were put on the back foot. Smith nicked Hogan to Allenby in the slips. Michael Thornley's bad run continued as he shouldered arms and was given out LBW as this ball from Glover just brushed his pad. And Ned Eckersley clipped a leg stump half volley straight to Goodwin at mid-wicket to leave the hosts on 28 for 3 in the 7th over. Joe Burns, a 23-year-old from Brisbane, is the replacement for Ramnaresh Sarwan, with him now back with the West Indies for next month's Champions Trophy. And he ensured that there were no further losses until tea. It was an encouraging start for him at least, as he got used to the cool English conditions. But just after the cakes, Leicestershire found themselves deep in the mire as first Shiv Thakur made a rare failure as he edged Wagg behind on 1. And then Hogan, having switched ends, removed his fellow countryman, a recent winner of the Bradman Young Cricketer of the Year award down under, seeing Burns off with an LBW decision which left Leicestershire reeling on 47 for 5. This was hardly the situation the Leicestershire acting captain Cobb would have dreamt of after he won the toss on the first morning. Down the order at number 7 after a run of low scores, he needed this to be the day to shine. He added 37 with Matt Boyce, but Leicestershire were back in trouble again when the latter pushed in a ball from Glover and gave Stuart Walters a catch in the slips. Then, with a total on 98, the home side was 7 down as Michael Reid joined the party by beating Cobb for pace and hitting the top of his off stump as he was bowled for 29. Freckingham at least managed to bring up the 100 in partnership with Nake, but the 8th loss wasn't far away as the latter was bowled by Glover for 5 at 119 for 8, while Freckingham fell in Glover's next over with an edge to Walters after making 15. The odd thing about Leicestershire's collapse was that the conditions were much better for batting on the first day. The sun was out, but the home side had left the last pair of Anthony Ireland and Buck way too much to do to avoid the follow-on. They needed to get to 293 for that, and by the time that Buck was the last man out, only 142 runs were on the board. These two tail-enders prevented Glover from claiming the second fifer of his career, leaving it instead to Hogan to pick up his 4th of the innings and the 26th wicket of the championship season with a bouncer that caught Buck by surprise. So, with Hogan claiming 4 for 25 and Glover 4 for 51, Leicestershire were dismissed for 142 to trail on first innings by 300 runs. That was that for the day, and with a night's rest, you can expect the follow-on to be enforced on the third morning, especially with the weather expected to take a turn for the worse for the end of the working week.